Hey everyone, I'm Janet. I am a personal trainer. I'm 56 years old and I definitely do not work out the same as I did 20 years ago. And actually, I think I train better now than I did before. Not harder, just better. I like to work out. I still like to lift weights. I like all kinds of different workouts. But there are some things that I've completely changed as I've gotten older. So today I'm going to share 5 things with you that I do differently with fitness now that I am 56, soon to be 57 in September. And if you're a woman over 50, hopefully this gives you permission to stop thinking that, every workout has to just kill you to count. Because I'm here to tell you that is not true. All right, so number 1, I don't think every workout has to be hard, like super hard. I do love a challenging workout, but I'm past the stage now where I think that in order for me to say I had a great workout, that I have to just be like sprawled out on the ground, totally exhausted, and every bone in my body aches the next day. Sometimes I do have that. Sometimes I do like to lift heavy weights, and I do that about 3 times a week. But on the other days, sometimes I just walk. And when I say just walk, I don't mean that as the lesser choice, because I constantly am preaching that. Like, you should be walking every day, moving your body every day. But on the days that I just walk as my exercise, I'm walking a longer distance, probably, 4 or 5K, probably 5K an hour. And it's not like I'm, walking 100 miles an hour. There's lots of studies that have shown that really doesn't make that big of a difference. So most of the time I'm just walking, taking in nature, just taking in, everything that I see. And sometimes I'll do another workout when I get home. Like I'll walk maybe half an hour, and I'll do like a 10 or 15 minute core exercise or core workout. And that's great. I've learned that I don't have to prove anything every time I work out. Does anybody else feel like that? Sometimes we feel like we have to I felt like I had to prove it to myself. Like, I can still do that. And there's a lot of things I still can do, but I don't have to do it every single day. So consistency matters a lot more to me now than beating myself up every day. So I would rather do something every day than go, a few days without doing nothing because I couldn't get to the gym or I just didn't have time, and then I'm just beating myself up. So do something. It doesn't have to be super hard, but do something. Number 2, strength training is more important to me now than it ever was before. And I had just said that I don't do it every day, and I don't. But when I do it, I try to lift as heavy as I can. All right, that's the key. The older I get, the more important strength training is to me. And it's not anymore about how my body looks. There was a time that, in my 20s, 30s, probably even in my 40s, it was more about, just how I looked. Now, that is not it. That's not the reason that I strength train. I want muscle. I want to be able to carry things. I want to be able to get up and down off the floor easy. I want strong legs. I want strong bones. And I want to keep doing the things I love for as long as I can. And that's the key. For women especially, I think sometimes we've been conditioned just to burn calories. We've all heard it. People are, I'm going out for dinner with my husband tonight. We're going to the keg, or we're, wherever we're going. We're having burgers and fries. I gotta get in, 800 extra calories on the Stairmaster, or the treadmill or I got to run. That is not the case for me anymore. I'm building muscle to be able to sustain the things in life that I still enjoy doing. Number 3, I pay attention to mobility now. I definitely did not appreciate this when I was younger. I used to think, stretching was something you did for, 15, 20 seconds after a workout just to say, it's kind of the end, just kind of stretch for a second. So that has totally changed. Now I actually care about being able to move my body. I work on my hips, my shoulders, my hamstrings, because what is the point of being strong, like lifting heavy weights, if you can't move well? And I notice a huge difference when I'm consistent with it, and consistency is the key. I won't lie, sometimes I go in really big spurts, like I'm doing, all these mobility things, every day for like 3 weeks. And then I don't know what happens. Life happens, I think, and it goes on the back burner, and then I don't do it anymore. And then I start to notice I don't move as well. So I really try to do it. It doesn't have to be an hour mobility, it's 10 or 15 minutes. But now I consider mobility a part of working out. And I will say, I'm going to add this at the end. I work at a gym, and that is the one thing that hit me a couple years ago. There's a lot of people at gyms who are super strong. They can lift heavy, heavy weights, but they have no balance and they have no mobility. And I think it's really sad to me. I think that those go hand in hand for me now, and it's taken me a long time to figure that out, and I'm better for it. Something I forgot to add to the last one about mobility, even like here, I'm sitting on one of the the big balls, the workout balls, because I am trying to work on my posture, and I'm trying to, I'm always kind of trying to do more things closer to the ground, different squats. So we'll talk about that in another video, but, just not hunched over, hunching back in a chair. All those things do not help us as we age. So that's why I'm sitting on the ball. All right, number 4. So number 4, I listen to my body, but I don't use my age as an excuse. So I'm going to say this one is important, okay? I do hear a lot of people say, well, I'm over whatever age you can insert. I have to be careful. No, listening to your body doesn't mean, I'm 50 now, I got to take it, easy. You still need to challenge yourself. I still challenge myself all the time. But if something doesn't feel right, I adjust. Maybe I go lighter that day. Maybe I change my exercise. Maybe I go for a walk instead. Maybe I work on mobility like I just talked about. I've gotten much better at knowing the difference. This is the important part, that this is hard compared to this doesn't feel right. All right. So it used to be my old self. I remember, especially with shoulders, like shoulder presses, I would really try to push the weight with shoulder presses. And it is good to have strong shoulders. We need those. There's a lot of, we're always doing, upper head work and things. So we do need strong shoulders, strong arms. But there was a time where I just feel like I was trying to lift heavier and heavier, and I just always had a shoulder issue. Like, I can remember being at the cottage probably about 3 years ago, and I just thought, wow, okay, what is going on? So I really have gone lighter weights with my shoulders than I used to, and I feel better. Sometimes you just have to do some more reps, right? It takes me a little longer to get that fatigue, but that's what works for me. As opposed to if I'm doing something and it's really hard, but I know it's not hurting me. There's a big difference in knowing that. I see a lot of women who, it's hard, and I know they can do it, and they can probably even do more, but they use that as an excuse. Well, you know, it's hard. You know, that's not what I'm talking about here. So if you want to keep training for a long time, you know, you have to listen to your body. I'm not interested in like wrecking myself just to say I finished a workout. All right. All right. Number 5, I'm not exercising just to make my body smaller. And this might be the biggest change for me. When we're younger, so much of fitness can become about weight, about losing weight, getting smaller, and burning more calories. And that is just not what motivates me anymore the same. Do I still care about how I look? Absolutely. I'm not going to pretend that I don't, because I do care about how I look. And especially, you know, I do feel like as a personal trainer, there is a little bit of pressure on me that, you know, they think you have to look a certain way. You know, most people don't want an overweight personal trainer. So I do take care of myself, but that is definitely not what motivates me anymore. I want to be strong. I want to have energy, and I want muscle. Okay. Muscle's number 1 for me. I want to be able to travel with my husband. I want to be able to go for walks. I want to be able to run around with my grandkids. You know, get down on the floor, standing back up as we get older. Huge. I train a lot of older women, and that is huge for them when they can sit on the ground and get up by themselves without a lot of, issue. That is a huge thing. And if you're young and you're watching this, you probably don't even understand what I'm talking about, but you will. So I don't want to spend the next part of my life just trying to, be small, like to take up less space. That's not what motivates me anymore. I want to be strong enough to enjoy the life that I have. So those are 5 things that I do differently now that I am 56. And I honestly think if you're over 50 and you feel like your best fitness years are behind you, I don't think that's true. It's never too late to start working out and start building muscle. I am telling you that is my career, and I see it all the time. You might not train exactly like you did in your 30s, and you probably shouldn't, and that's okay. You can still get stronger, you can still challenge yourself, and you can absolutely surprise yourself with what your body is capable of, because you are stronger than you think, right? I always say that you are stronger than you think. So if you're a woman over 50 and that's the kind of fitness conversation that you're looking for, subscribe. I hope you stick around, and those are the kind of things that I want to talk about. So until the next one.